So today's task is to find the units, pairs and squares for the given Sudoku grid. So basically Sudoku grid consists of 81 numbers like from 1 to 9. So we have nine squares. In each square will be having a unique like numbers of from 1 to 9 which will be unique, and in that particular row or column also will be having all the unique numbers. So in this grade we'll be having units and pairs. So if we take example, so if we take here a1, so for this a1 we'll be having three units. So one unit is that the row consists in the row of where a1 lies, and the column for that a number, and also the grid in which the number present. So for not only for a1, for every number, like if we take a5 also, the grid the number is present in second grid. So the second grid is one unit for a5, and that row, the row where a5 is present, so that row is one unit, and the column where it is present is one more unit. So we'll be having totally three units for the numbers in Sudoku grid. And coming to pairs, we have 20. Will be having 20 pairs for each number. That is, if we take a1 as a number, so the numbers present in that grid, and the numbers in that particular row column of that number will be the pairs for that number. Like if we take a1, so the pairs for A1 are A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, C1, C2, C3, as these are the numbers present in the grid. And A4, A5, A6, A7, A8, A9, and D1, E1, F1, G1, H1, I1. These are also pairs. Like we'll be taking the row numbers and column numbers and the numbers in the grid of that particular number. So we'll be having total 20 pairs. So this is the code for like to find out the pairs, not to implement the notions of units, pairs and square in the programming language. So we'll go to the code, and they wrote it in like the code is in Python language. So first, here is a here there is this is a method. So from here it like we'll start from here. So they have taken a digits variable, which is of string. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Oh, sorry, this is of character single quotes. So 1 2 3 4 till 9, from 1 to 9, as in Sudoku will be having these from 1 to 9, and rows labeling as A to A B C D F G, which are also 9 from A to G. And we have taken columns as also same digits from 1 to 9. So what we are doing is, first we are finding the squares. Like, so we are finding the squares, like they are taken squares as a variable name, and we are calling this cross of rows columns method. So in this cross method, what we'll do is we'll be assigning this a1, a2, a3 values. Like what we have taken separate digits and rows, so we'll be assigning those a1, a2. So from squares we'll go to this method. So we are sending this rows a b c d f g and columns 1 2 3 4 5. So in this, what will be returning is that, so we are concatenating this for, like, this is a list comprehension. So what we are doing is, for a in a and for b in b. So like if we have if we this is in a for loop. So first, for a in a, so we are sending rows. So for a in a, so first element will be a, and for b in b, so in a b is that columns. So the first element will be 1. So a plus 1, so we are concatenating this character and we are returning it. So the output will be a1 a, so we are concatenating, so a1 a2 a3 a4 a5, like we'll be getting this matrix. And so that list will be stored in a squares squares variable. And now we are calculating the units list, like the units for the numbers in the Sudoku grid. So what we are doing is that first we are taking the columns variable, and we are iterating it through it. So what will so for columns means from 1 to 9 will be iterating, and we are calling this cross function. In this cross function we are sending rows and columns and the digits, like the columns, as an input. So what we'll get is that, if for example, if we take for C in columns, if we take first iteration iterating, we'll be getting 1. So what will be sending A B C D E F G and 1. So A1 B1 C1 D1 E1. So what we'll get this columns. So for column we'll be getting all the columns, all the 9 columns, and plus here we are sending again what we are iterating it through rows, that is A B C D F G, and we are calling again the cross method. So in this cross method now, this time we are sending each digit in the rows, like A we are sending A, and again we are sending columns, like full columns value we are sending. So this time the output, like the step is like we are generating these row values, like a1 a2 a3. Last time was like we are generating columns, now we are generating rows. So plus, now what we are generating the squares. uh, so plus this in this line what we are generating the grids, like for every nine numbers, like a Sudoku consists of 9 grids, and in that each grid will be having 9 elements. So we need to generate this particular 9 grids. So what we are doing is we are directly writing like abc 1 row, def 1 row, ghi 1 row, and 1 2 3 1 row, 4 5 6 7 8 9 1 row. So we are sending like this is one tuple, we are taking it as a tuple, and we are iterating it through these two tuples, and we are sending those two values for the input as a cross method. We are calling again the cross method, and we are sending those two as an input. So in this line what we'll be sending, like if we take the first iteration, we'll be sending abc and 1 2 3. So return, yeah, sending a list abc 1 2 3. So what will be written, a1 will be written here, a1 a2 a3 b1 b2 b3 c1 c2 c3. So those nine elements or 9 variables will be of one each grid. So in this way we are generating this units list. So plus so the this unit list consists of those, and now we are taking again a units variable. In this units variable we need to calculate the units, like exactly each number, like how many units each number has. So for that what we are taking a dictionary. We are taking a dictionary, like for particular element we are taking a key value pair. So key will be here, here the key will be the number, and the values will be in the values will be like where the units. So for each variable how many units will be having. So here what they wrote, so s is that squares. So here we are iterating through the squares, where we generated like all the 81 variables, and we are generating so for s in squares, so we are taking s as a key, and for values again we are generating the unit list, we are iterating the unit list. So for u in unit list, like in unit list we are generating each variable. So if the u is in s, then we are keeping the, like we are taking that u, and we are taking that u and placing it in the value. For example, like if we generate so for example, if we like iterating through squares, so for s in squares, for first iteration we'll get a1. So we are keeping that as a key, and in the values we are generating for u in unit list. So for first variable, like we have this list, so we'll have rows comma c means, so if we take a1 only, like if the first iteration if it is a1, so if s in u, so a1 is present in unit list, like these all the units a1 a2 a3 list. So if it is present, we are putting the u list as a value. So for a1, this full list will be the value unit. So again if we take a2 also same will like after, like we need to iterate the unit list full, so in the same way we'll iterating the rows will be iterating, with columns will be iterating, and if wherever the number is present in the list, those lists will be adding to values. In that way, the units, we have taken a dictionary where we have key as a number and value as the list in which the number is present. And we have and also next we have taken the peers variable. In peers, like peers, we have all the numbers in which in where the particular number column values and row values and the grid values in which the number is present. So for that we have taken another dictionary. So first we are iterating it through squares, means like we'll iterate all this 81 values, and we'll check whether, so we are iterating it through the squares, and we are putting it to the s value, we are keeping it as a key. And in the values, what we are doing is that sum of, we are taking this units list, so sum of units of the particular key value. So for if we take a1 example, so we are putting a1 as an key, and we are extracting this units of a1, the a1 value, like in the units dictionary we are taking the values of that particular a1. So we'll be getting three lists. So we are adding that list, to for a particular, we are adding that list, and we are forming one more full one whole list. So we'll have three lists, so we are adding it to one whole list. And like the while check in the peers, we'll be checking for that particular grid also. So if we take a number if we take an element a1, we can't add we can't add to peers a1 also, like we can't add self number. So what we are doing, we are deleting the set of that particular number, like from the list we are deleting the self number, and we are doing it as a set. Like set is that duplicate values are not allowed. We can only get unique values. For example, if we take a1, so what will add these all row elements, will add b1 to i1 as a column elements. And if we add grid values, we'll have a2 a3 b1 c1 as a double values, like duplicate values. So to avoid the duplication, we are using set. So set of sum of units of s comma list is that we're adding all the three lists, and set is that for duplicate, and minus set of s is that we are taking the self number, so from the list, and we are adding all these values as a list, and we are adding it to the dictionary. So in this peers dictionary, we'll have the uh, number as a key, and the particular and those number peers, particular number peers as a values. So this is the code they have written. And they also wrote few test cases, like assert like we'll be having 81 squares, 81 elements, and unit list will have 27. 27, like for each 9 one element will be having three units, and length of units for each square is 3, and length of peers will have for each number will have peers 20. So these are the few test cases. So if these test cases were passed, then we'll have then with they have given a print statement, all test pass. So this is the code for like to generate to know how many units, peers, and squares for each for the given Sudoku grid.